What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the America First AI podcast. I'm Asia Branch. I'm the founder of the America First AI Creative Studio and Network. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right into it. And just so you guys know, today's episode is not going to be the longest for one reason and one reason only. I literally just spent most of the Friday afternoon personally in recovery because, Thanksgiving was yesterday, but also creating behind the scenes content for you guys that I will be posting, if not later today, then probably tomorrow, because there is some editing that has to be done. Ultimate reason why I don't like sharing my screen and doing a whole bunch of pre-pro stuff in the first place. But my gosh, who knew that behind the scenes required so much effort? I am a one woman show over here, so forgive me for some of the glitches that are going to happen in that content that you guys are going to see again. If not today, then tomorrow on Saturday. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I'm just going to go into a couple of things that we saw that unfolded over the last couple of days. I'm not going to cover the recent shooting that happened in Washington, D.C. of the National Guard. I do believe that every new media pundit from Megyn Kelly to Brandon Tatum are going to talk about that stuff. And honestly, let them cover the news. I'm not a journalist. That's not who I am. Personally, my job as an America First podcaster is to call out the MAGA crowd and to call out what is lacking in the administration and where I think he needs to step up and to show some grace and to give him credit where credit is due. But sometimes that credit is a bit it's hard to give because sometimes it feels like, you should have done this day one. And a lot of the stuff that has happened over these last couple of days may not have happened. Days, weeks may not have happened. And maybe we wouldn't even have this rift occurring amongst America First and MAGA. Although I think it was necessary because I don't think the truth would have come out had it not. So the first thing I want to talk about, and I know you guys seen it. You guys heard me go off on about Dave Rubin. My favorite moment was when Dave Rubin and Pierce Morgan were sitting down together and Pierce held Dave to the fire, even though he was the one being interviewed. Now, obviously, I don't watch Dave. I literally watched other people react to it, but it was so great watching his ass be handed to him. Honestly, it felt like, when you're watching a movie or a series and there was just this bad guy and you're like, yo, this B word gotta die. Or, you're excited to see the bad guy get their ass kicked finally because they've been getting on your nerves for the whole season. That is how it felt when Pierce Morgan was sitting down with Dave Rubin. He was such a hypocrite, and you could see him talking out of both sides of his mouth. It was so obvious. On one side, you acknowledge that there was no starvation, right? And Pierre's like, no. And then he goes, well, there was starvation, but of the Israeli hostages. Okay, so either there was or there wasn't. You said there was no starvation. So even by saying there was starvation of Israeli hostages, you're acknowledging that there was starvation. So what the hell are you talking about, Dave? That's the first thing. And the second thing, where he kept talking about video footage, how, oh, show me one video. It's pretty much implying that it's not real, it doesn't exist, or any of that stuff. He then says, well, we've seen footage of them opening restaurants and eating food, and all the all the Palestinians I've seen are fat guys. And it's like, okay, so you are seeing footage out of Palestine, but didn't you just say that all the video footage either doesn't exist or isn't real? You don't buy it? Like, come on, Dave. So that was one of my favorite moments because you guys know how I feel about Dave Rubin. I can't stand the fact that he calls himself a conservative, but it's like, dude, conservatism is about tradition. Your homo relationship is not traditional. And I'm not taking it back and I'm not mincing my words. I'm not doing any of that. He's in a homo relationship. Raising twins. This is not traditional. You're not a conservative. You're not conserving American tradition. And you're damn sure not a Christian because you're a homo raising children. Call a spade. Now, I didn't call him the F word. So for anybody who sees this and says saying homo is homophobic, that's a personal problem. I won't call him an F word. I don't believe in calling them that. But he is a homo. It is what it is. And he's raising children that he shouldn't be raising in a homosexual atheist household. So you're not a conservative, Dave. So I don't appreciate you thinking that you can talk at conservatives like even Megyn Kelly, who sometimes gets on my nerves. But my gosh, was this moment so great because Dave has been on this Israel first thing. And I'm like, yo, if you were gay, if you, let's see, go get married in Israel, go try and raise children in Israel, see how they treat you, doing all this running all this defense and trying to coax Pierce Morgan into being on the good side. He's been on my last nerve. So that was fantastic to watch. I'm not even going to lie. And I do think over the next couple of years, if that long, we're going to see pundits like Dave Rubin start to collapse. I mean, the crazy thing is Cenk had, it was for him, it was like the best moment ever, right? Because Dave Rubin obviously used to work for the Young Turks. He left, started his own thing. And so Cenk is feeling like, this is like his moment. His, like, it was so great watching Dave lose to Pierce. It was great. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of you enjoyed it. It was just, it was amazing. Now, that was just one of the things that have occurred this week. Now, there's something that's come out of the White House. Finally, took him forever, 11 months. He's finally going to end the Somali refugees, and we're going to start to see him looking at other immigration, right? When you look at Africans that have come into this country. So he's looking at it. He's not just looking at the worst first. And what did I say in one of my episodes? Enough with the pandering. Cut that crap. Worst first is not enough. 12 million came in under Biden. 10 to 12 million came under Biden. So you have to start looking at the rest of the migrants that have come into this country, because 550,000, not enough. So I'm kind of glad to see that there are more migrants that he's looking at, illegals, that he's going to be looking to deport. But my gosh, did it really take this long for you to figure this out? It shouldn't have. It shouldn't have. It's really starting to piss me off seeing how these people just don't, how Trump just did not care. Like he really, it took you 11 months to get here, dude. It really did. And it was really starting to piss me off that it was taking this long, especially because it's like, dude, it's not just the illegal criminals. It's not just the cartels that came in here. It's everybody who looks at America as the land of opportunity and not a land of Christianity. Only Americans can make that mistake. I'm not willing to do that with any more of these Muslims, any more of these Africans who don't understand how to conduct themselves in business. Did you guys hear about the African that's now about to face deportation because she assaulted an American citizen? I mean, like, what is it taking? Why did it take this long, Trump? But you know what? Let's show some grace, because thank God she's past the worst first. He's going to start to bust a move on everybody else. Thank you. Look at these legal residents, too. Anyone's committed even the smallest traffic violation, get them out, deport them. Took you way too long, Trump, to get here. But, finally, we're here. And now, this is the one that I'm going to spend the most time on. This is why I'm moving so quickly. Because, again, I just spent like 2 hours doing behind the scenes content for you guys and doing some editing of that. So I'm so tired. I'm in recovery from yesterday. Like I swear it's like a food and wine hangover. So just bear with me here. But the one that I want to talk about the most is the recent comment that he made. I believe it was on Air Force One earlier this week, where he said, I guess a reporter asked him, is it true if he was willing to actually sit down and have a conversation with Maduro from Venezuela? Now, I told you guys that I think regime change wars is a much bigger deal for millennials, and I went in depth as to why I think it was a bigger deal. And I actually had a conversation with my twin sister about this yesterday, because we saw the comment coming from Trump on Air Force One. And here's my take. Trump did say he's willing to have a conversation with Maduro, and I'm glad that he's willing to have that conversation. To be honest with you, I'm quite glad, because I'm having issues with this idea of him going into Venezuela just so he can stomp out the cartels. I don't buy that crap. I really don't. Like the first bombing that he did of the first boat that we saw blow up, him blow up, I really didn't have issues with it. I felt like, no, they are in international waters. They're headed for America. You clearly have intel that suggests that there's drugs, weapons, not just individuals on this boat. And so, okay, that's fine. But then he just kept blowing them up. And you had conservatives, Republicans like Lindsey Graham celebrating killing these cartel soldiers. As Christians, we're not supposed to celebrate having to kill anyone because we value life, and we should hate having to do it. And we should do whatever means necessary to avoid doing that if possible. And I said in one of my other episodes that personally, I wish he was doing this like how we handled the Cuban Missile Crisis. Cross this line, and then I'll blow your crap out the water. Then I'll blow your ship, your sub, your plane, whatever out the water. But you would have minimum given them the opportunity to make a better decision. But this idea that having made Maduro the head of that particular cartel, I can't remember the name of it, and then designating them a terrorist organization. It's like, okay, so you're going to treat Maduro like he was President Assad of Iran, which is the head of the Islamic Empire, the head of the Islamic terror state. But if you can send Tulsi Gabbard to Iran to have a conversation with President Assad at the time before he was, swapped out, then there's no reason why you can't have another conversation with another terrorist. Send Tulsi Gabbard in. Find out, what do you want from America to stop doing what you're doing. America's going to play defense, as it's been doing. We're going to protect our homeland. And if we see a threat, we will do whatever means necessary. And this is how we're going to handle it. Again, handle it the Cuban Missile Crisis way. But if you can sit down with Assad and then have some guy who we know, some Muslim, come on the anniversary, the birthday of the U.S. Navy, come who we know was a part of 9/11, come to the United States, come to the White House on the birthday of the U.S. Navy. And this guy was a once upon a time terrorist. Marjorie Taylor Greene even said so. She was angry that he had done that. And here's the thing, I disagreed with Marjorie on that. I wasn't angry that he was doing it. I'm like, look, at some point we got to forgive and move on. And he's trying to do that with the Middle East so he can try to get, at least we think, he's trying to get America out of that. And so I'm not mad about it. But then you need to apply that same mentality to Maduro. Okay, so if he's the head of this terror organization, Trump, that you've designated a terror organization, this cartel that you say he's a part of, then you need to talk to him. That was the first thing I said to my sister. The next thing I said was, if you're serious about going to war with the cartels, why is there no action being done in Mexico? Because personally, that's where he should be. He should be going through all of Latin America, including Venezuela. He should not be doing that at all. Personally, I don't think that's something that he should be doing. I'm not the person who thinks we should be bombing everything that comes out of Latin America at all. The problem is in Mexico. Everything has to go through Mexico. The illegals that come here have to stop in Mexico. The drugs that are coming in laced with fentanyl, well, the fentanyl is going to come through Mexico. Why aren't you doing anything there? And then my sister said something that really got me thinking, and it did not occur to me until she said it. And she said to me, I think that this is a central bank war. It sounds like just like what Bush was doing when he said the Middle East, right? We lost life. There was a huge terrorist attack. People really wanted to go into the Middle East to find bin Laden and to bomb the hell out of them, and they didn't mind the war. But this whole time it was about it was another banker's war. And it was sounding exactly the same in this case, right? That we're going to war with Venezuela and Maduro so that way the central bank could establish itself there. And the second she said that, that's when it occurred to me. That's why we're not in Mexico. That's why we're not fighting the cartels there. That's why we're not. Because the central bank is pretty much established in North America, Canada, Mexico. It's established there. So why are we going to war in Mexico? Why are we going to invade Mexico? Why are we going to do any of those things when it's already established? And if all the wars are bankers' wars, and at least in the 21st century, why go there? Even though that's where the central hub is, even though that's where fentanyl is coming through, even though that's where the illegals are being funneled from, coming through Mexico to get into the United States. Why are you not doing anything there? Because the central bank is already there. That was like, you know what? That makes sense. That makes sense. That's why we are not in Mexico, where the big problem is. I mean, do you guys remember Ann Coulter's Adios America? She said that she wanted to invade Mexico, and I feel the exact same way. And personally, I think the people of Mexico, You either invite us in or we coming in. That's how I feel. And I'm not saying we invade to take the turf. I'm saying go in there, bomb the hell out of the cartels there, and then you're telling all of Latin America, moving forward, do not come to America. Don't come through Mexico. Make the line in this, draw the line in the sand for the Cuban Missile Crisis exam as the Cuban Missile Crisis was handled. And then you're giving them the opportunity to make a better decision. But take our asses into Mexico. We send our military all over the damn world to protect everybody else. And the one time it makes sense to set boots on the ground in another country, you don't want to do it in the one place where it makes sense. I don't want us taking Mexico and making it a state. I don't want it to be a state. But you done made Puerto Rico an occupied territory. Why is Mexico not one of those things? It should be if you're going to be making those types of decisions, personally, until they can prove that they are not going to be electing cartels. I mean, come on. All these Israel first people, Israel has to maintain control of Gaza so that because they keep voting in Hamas. Okay, so all you Israel first people, does that apply here in America? Should we be doing that here against Mexico? I think so. It makes sense. Sitting here fighting and going back and forth and going to war with MAGA because you want to be Israel first, when the real issue here is that we're not doing what we should be doing to protect Americans from the biggest threat that are cartels, but we're going to go to war with Maduro in Venezuela. We're not doing what we need to be doing. We're not putting the attention on where it needs to be. Protecting our homeland, which means going through Mexico. All the cartels have to come through Mexico. All of them do. But we're not because of central bankers. Because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. That's the only reason why we would be going into Venezuela. But no, you got conservatives like Ben Shapiro saying, oh, who cares if Maduro is a social conservative? He's a tyrant. He's this, he's that. I don't give a rat's ass what you think, Ben. I think your ass should be moving to Israel and stay your ass there. We should not be going into Venezuela. That is clearly regime change. I hope Trump actually has that conversation. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm getting so frustrated with the decisions of his administration. But I have to say, and this is going to be glass half full, because I was clearly right. He doesn't because we did. If we keep doing our buckshot, if we keep saying something, we're adding the pressure. Because I think he's only having this conversation with Maduro because there was all of this, social media pressure coming from the not so silent majority anymore. America First does not want regime change. And either he accepts that or he doesn't. And I think that's why he's going to have this conversation with Maduro. I don't think Marco Rubio is going to like it. I don't think Mark Levin is going to like it. I don't think Ben Shapiro is going to like it. I don't think any of them are going to like it. I do think Tulsi Gabbard's going to like it, though, because she is the person who doesn't want regime change. But because we said something, he's willing to have a conversation with them, because he clearly wasn't like 2 weeks ago. Now he is. And that's a big deal. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm anti-war. I think, war is unfortunately an is a necessary evil. And I hate to say that as a Christian, but until we can cure human nature, it's what humanity is going to keep doing. Human nature just shows that we're greedy. We're greedy and we're selfish and we're lustful and we're sinners. And when you're a sinner with all this power, when you're looking at central bankers or leaders of nations, like it yields wars. And that's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. We don't live in a utopia. But it has to be a last resort. And when it comes to the cartels, we're at our wits' end. We're at the last resort when it comes to these cartels. A war is necessary. How one fights it, however, is what is up for judgment, in my personal opinion. Don't bomb them just because you can. Draw a line in the sand. Cross this line, we're bombing you. Give them the opportunity to make a better decision. This is us giving Latin America grace. But the one place where grace cannot be afforded is Mexico. Why is his attention in Venezuela? What's next? Ecuador? El Salvador? What's next? What the heck is next, Trump? You MAGA folk. But like I said, I got to give credit where credit is due. Donald Trump is willing to have a conversation with Maduro. He did say it. I'm hoping we see it. I do not want to see the central bank on the rise. And the reality is, we don't have to contribute to their conquering of Venezuela. I know he's only doing this because he wants access to Venezuela's minerals. But you know what? If we forgive Maduro for all the crimes committed against our people, which is contributing to the cartels and to these drugs that have been killing hundreds of thousands of young Americans, we have to forgive the people who commit transgressions against us. That's the only way we're going to move forward as a people, as a country. We have to forgive them. I understand vengeance, but vengeance is not ours. It's not yours. It's the Lord's, right? I mean, I hate to be such a cliche and quote Yolanda Adams, but I mean, that's for God to do. That's Maduro's cross to bear. What we can do is defend the homeland, and we can say, no more. No more. Don't try to take him out. Don't try to do a coup in Venezuela. Don't try to establish the central bank anywhere. You can have trade deals. What can we give Venezuela? And Venezuela can trade with us with their minerals. With their, we can get some mineral rights in Venezuela and then give them something in return. That's trade. That's fair. That's American. That's capitalism. I'm all for it. But forgive Maduro for the crimes committed against the people. Now, what does justice look like? Taking out the cartels in Mexico, destroying that central hub that is Mexico, not destroying the country or killing the people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying wiping out the cartels ecosystem that exists in Mexico. Now, I actually compared it to Battlestar Galactica. I don't know how many of you guys watched that show. It was awesome. One of my favorite sci-fi series, actually, with President Rosalind. That's why I said she's the standard for female presidents in America, my personal opinion. Anyways, putting that aside, there's this thing called the resurrection ship, right? Because Cylons, when you kill them, they resurrect. So it's kind of like no point. Every time you kill, Caprica, or, every time you killed Cylon 6, her memories would be re-uploaded and downloaded into another body of hers on this resurrection ship. So the only way really that you could take out these Cylons was if you wiped out the resurrection ship. You take that out. When they die, they're dead for good. Mexico has to be dealt with. You have to deal with their president. You have to stop letting Americans go into Mexico, number one. That's the first thing. People need to stop going on vacations there. Travel at home. Find a beach at home. Okay, so it's not crystal blue water, but you're safer to some degree. Talk to that president and figure out what the hell is she doing to fight these cartels. What is she doing? And if she doesn't ask you in, you march in there. You pull a Putin. One thing I got to respect Putin for. He will not let NATO take Ukraine. He will not let that become a threat. Why are we not doing the same thing? We should be moving into Mexico. If the president isn't doing a damn thing to stop these cartels, and we have the largest and greatest military on the face of the earth. You do your strategic strikes instead of blowing up boats in the ocean. You're targeting the cartels that you're tracking in Mexico. This isn't even that he doesn't know where they are. You do. You know where they're located, but you're just choosing not to do anything with them. To do anything with that intel. Do the target strikes. And then if necessary, invade. And then when we've wiped out the cartels, come home. If the president of Mexico won't do anything about it, then that's how you handle it. Stop being involved in everybody else's business. Stop handling Venezuela and doing this the way Bush handled Iraq. Because honestly, this is feeling like it's going to be another 20-year war. So again, I'll give him grace. I'm glad that he's having a conversation with them. But honestly, I have to say congratulations to all of you. And great job to all of you. There's so much pressure that he's getting from we, the America First people, that he's actually having that conversation. And it's just like I said, the reason why Israel wasn't able to drag us into that war was because we said something, because we went buckshot. Keep doing that. It's working. Good job to all of you. You did that. Not the Dave Rubins of the world just had his ass handed to him by Piers Morgan. Not the Marco Rubios of the world who clearly want regime change. Not the Ben Shapiro who's pretty much a traitor in my eyes. You guys did this. You are why he's having that conversation, or at least willing to have that conversation. Will he have it? We'll see. Will he send Tulsi Gabbard and we find out later? Probably. He did it with President Assad in Iran. But you guys made that happen. Being on Twitter, posting on TikTok, putting that pressure on the administration to not drag us in. Kudos to all of you. Because you did that. My gosh, I can't even believe you listened. It took 11 months to get here. It took 11 months. Now he's still doing crap in Russia and with Russia and Ukraine. He's still doing stuff with Iran and Israel. But you know what? We got to take credit where we can get it. He's having the conversation or willing to have the conversation with Maduro. I'll show him some grace now. He's willing to end the Somali protection. He's looking at deporting some more, not just the worst first. So that's getting better. Is it everything that we want? No. But it is Thanksgiving. It is the season of perpetual hope. And something I never thought would happen is happening. He's willing to have the conversation with Maduro. And it looks like we may be able to avoid regime change wars, especially because he's the guy that said he wouldn't start any. So glass half full here. But again, I'm trying to keep this episode a little bit shorter than I usually do because I am exhausted. And I still have to run to the store to get, well, some more beer. I mean, I'm on vacation and I need to chill and relax, but I had to get some behind the scene footage out for you. I did say in that video, I'm going to make it either available, if not today, then probably tomorrow for you guys to watch. For those of you who want to do any kind of collaborations with me, head over to the Substack. You have to subscribe and do a direct message. I am starting some services out, for this network. I want to, if any of you are interested in creating your own series for your own YouTube channels, just reach out to me. I got some things coming. I'll be launching, some products soon. And some other services if you're interested. But right now, I'm just testing this out. I'll be trying to do some collaborations with some people, see how that goes. But if you're interested, reach out to me on my Substack. Link is in the description. Again, my name is Asia Branch. I'm going to take the rest of my day because I am so done and so tired. And I hope you guys enjoyed the behind the scenes content that I'll make available. The next episode of the Disavowed Gala will be made available next week, Wednesday. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the Substack because I do not make episodes available on YouTube. And there's only 2 more episodes left of this limited series. And I hope you guys really enjoy it. But I do get some more stuff coming your way soon. So, I hope you guys are really liking what you're seeing here. I'm just so grateful to all of you who are watching, and I'm so thankful for all of you. Like, my gosh, you guys are why I do this or continue to do this anyway, because, I started podcasting so I could earn enough to make movies and cartoons and series and stuff, and AI has become available. And then Trump was pissing me off, and America First it needed more voices. Oh, before I sign off, I have to correct myself. I thought Ann Coulter did not have a podcast. I was wrong. She is on Substack. She has a podcast. So I suggest you guys listen to that too. Subscribe to Substack. Subscribe to the America First AI Network Substack. Head over and look for Ann Coulter because, man, she's who we needed. Her and Nick. But that's my time, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving holiday for those of you who had the time and the day off. Enjoy your weekend. God bless you all. And until next time.